Weeks ago, we talked about the right to disconnect. What that means is that if you are paid to work 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, that if the boss rings you at 7 o'clock on a Friday night, you can legally refuse to take the call, or you can not respond to an email or a text until you're back at work the following Monday. Now, you have to be reasonable. If there's a crisis and only you can help solve it, it would be reasonable for the boss to contact you and reasonable for you to get back if indeed you don't accept the call the first time round. The trade union movement wants to take this a bit further. They want people's private social media posts to be exempt from scrutiny by the boss. Now, obviously, if you're just posting photos of the family and what you do on the weekend, there's no reason your boss would have any interest in that other than if they're friends with you. But if you're criticising the business for which you work, or saying publicly that your boss is stupid and hopeless, I think the boss could reasonably sort of pull you up on that. Our next guest is a career development practitioner, Sue Elson. Good morning.
Hi, Tom.
What do you think about this? If I stick things on social media in my own time, does my employer have a right to look and possibly pull me up on them?
Well, it really depends on the social media policy of the organisation. So a lot of organisations have them. A lot of the organisations I go to, nobody knows where it is, nobody's read it, nobody's been trained on it. So, yeah, that's a bit of a difficult one. But what the union movement is looking at is basically giving people almost carte blanche to say whatever they like. And I think that as an employee, we have a duty of care to our employer to uphold their brand values and their code of conduct and their vision and all of that sort of thing. That should be conveyed to us. And if I was an employee of the government, I definitely wouldn't be allowed to go out and say, that sort of thing. That would be part of the contract of working in the government.
So I had a look at my employment contract because I only did it late last year, so it's still relatively fresh. And it does say that I cannot do anything, whether it's a social media post or indeed what I say on air or even in just my own personal behaviour, which brings my employer into disrepute. And that's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable, don't you?
Well, I do. And I actually live my life now as though there's a drone hovering above me watching everything I do. So.
Yes, and likewise, so do I. And I don't even include any pictures of my children online. And, I've taken it to that next level. And I basically assume I've been online since 2001, and I assume that anything I put into a computer is public, even if I've got all the privacy settings there.
What about when you're you're thinking about hiring someone? Mm-hmm. Is it okay to have a look at their social media output, whether it's Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or whatever, and sort of judge them based on what you see there? Like, for example, if every single weekend they're at a dance party and they appear to be taking drugs, or there's photos of them passed out because they drink too much on a weekly basis. Is that the sort of thing that you could use to decide whether or not to hire them?
Well, technically speaking, if it's publicly available, you can look at it. And I heard a statistic some years ago that said 75% of people will Google you before a job interview and 95% will Google you before they give you a job offer. And that includes not just Google, but also the social media platforms. So if somebody was looking at that and they had concerns about it, they could show that to the candidate and say, look, it looks like you're at a lot of parties, can you please explain? And they say, well, look, I just love to dance. It might be nothing to do with drugs. So, you would have that opportunity to give that to the person. But another interesting story I heard yesterday, there was somebody who was trying to get a modelling gig. And the reason they did or didn't get it was depending on the number of followers they had on Instagram. So then there's the other employer who says, well, I'll only hire the model who's got 30,000 followers. So then when they put their pictures up online, I'll get an extra 30,000 views out of it. So, yeah, there's lots of toing and froing in all of this. But, yes, what you cannot do is you cannot ask the employee for their login details so that you can go and do the forensic search within the profile. And technically, I think it's, probably not that great if you decided to be friends with them on something like Facebook. Connection on LinkedIn is a bit different, but friends on Facebook and then check out all their relatives, I don't know. I just think that's a bit of a stretch. Yeah. So what's generally public, I would say, would be generally okay.
All right. Thank you for your time. Sue Elson there, career development practitioner.